You're tuned in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. Car questions? Get answers right now. Call 850-763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.
All right, welcome back to round two, or segment two is called, here on Ask the Master Auto Technician. I have Scott Hobbs calling all the way from Mr. Rooter Plumbing. I think, Scott, you're a fourth generation or third generation plumber?
I'm the third generation.
Third generation.
I have fourth generation working with me.
I knew you have sons. I knew one son. He's into social media, someplace I think up north, up in Tennessee or whatever. Then don't you have another son here in town as well?
No, just our daughter. Our daughter works for us.
Well, okay,
yeah.
So you got a daughter that's doing it. So who says it's just a man's job out there? I mean,
that's right.
That's right. Now, have you ever had any women plumbers work for you?
We have. The women plumbers are great.
Yeah.
I've had several over the years. They really pay attention to detail. They're good finish plumbers. You know, they go into the final stage.
Right.
They pay attention to detail. They're actually good service technicians because, you know, the majority of the customers are ladies at home,
right?
And they feel comfortable having a lady come in and help them out with their plumbing.
Well, you know, I've had several mechanics, the female work for me over the years, and you are correct about attention to detail. And they seem to be able to talk to women a lot better about their problems. That's one of the reasons my wife is so successful here at the shop, is when women come into the shop, she's able to, well, I guess, communicate better than sometimes us guys are.
Hey, honey, we speak the same language.
That's right, yeah.
I guess that's what it is, all the same language there. But we've talked about this before, about how plumbing issues are a big thing here in Bay County. You know, how we have, right now, you in Northern Bay County have to pump septic tanks. And when the rain is like it is here lately, septic tanks have a tendency to be pumped out more often. I guess that's true. I'm just guessing. I don't know. And
that's exactly right. What happens is the ground becomes saturated, and so during normal use, the sewage goes into the septic. The water solids stay in the tank. The water goes into the drain field, and it percolates through the soil. Well, what happens when we have a saturated ground? It resists, you know, going into the soil because it has no place to go. So it takes longer to do that.
So you have to go in there and pump that out, and then you have to take that tank along with the driver, has to drive that truck down to St. Joe and dump it off. And you told me it's $300 per tank, whether it's 1 teaspoon or entire tank. Is that correct, or the entire truck?
Oh yeah. That's all my cost involved to get it down there. So they're charging by the truck load, or the size of the truck, regardless of how much you have on the truck. That's for sure.
I was talking to another gentleman the other day. They said that, I don't know if your company is one of them, that they say they spend around $100,000 a year to dump septic sewage down in St. Joe. I don't know how much you spend, but if we have 10 companies in Bay County that spend somewhere in between $50,000 and $100,000 a year, and then we have the surrounding counties that have the same type situation, I think that we could actually Bay County could actually be a dumping station on that Northwest sewer treatment plant that we have up there.
I wouldn't think it would take long to pay for it at all.
Well, and I talked to an engineer, and he said, well, we don't want to have that there because people you don't know what they put in their septic tanks. They might put oil in it. I said, what are you talking about? People put, all sorts of stuff down sanitary sewers as well. I said, if you're worried about oil, it wouldn't be hard to detect that with a hydrocarbon detector as the tanks, come in to be dumped. If there's oil in it, they could always sniff it with a hydrocarbon detector, and if they detect hydrocarbons, refuse to let that one dump. But they did say it would cost about $1.5 million. Well, one engineer did, to retrofit or repurpose the septic system we have up there in Northern Bay County. Do you know where that is exactly, Scott, where that sewer treatment plant is?
No, I don't know exactly, but it's got to be closer to Fort St. Joe.
Oh, it's got to be. It's got to be closer, but if we could do that, I think that would be one way to help repurpose that sewer system out there to help pay for it, because right now we got 5,200 families that are paying for it, and they're paying a lot more than everybody else. I want to say they're paying 25% more than anybody. I think that's correct. Yeah,
it's a lot more. They're getting
hammered.
Really pounded, yeah.
They're paying more for water and sewer than they're paying for electricity in some cases. And I asked an engineer if there's anything they can do about it. The engineer told me use less water, and I didn't go over very good. And I went, okay.
Yeah, go tell all those families that.
I said, you go tell them. I ain't going to tell them that.
Yeah.
But, he said, use less water. And I said, well, what do you recommend? He said, well, until you get more people hooked up on it, it's not going to bring down the price of it. You're not going to pay it off. And so I'm sitting there going, how can we pay this thing off or bring it down? And there's only 2 or 3 things I can think of. One, repurpose it where it'll make, where you and other septic tank companies and plumbing companies could dump septic sewage, or sell off our assets in Bay County that we own outright clear and pay down the debt, or get someone else to buy it. I don't think the last one's going to happen. I don't think anyone's going to buy that one. Do you have any?
It's not a good business decision, is it?
No, well, right. I think they bought. I think they bought this at the height of the boom, and they got caught in this housing bubble. We thought this bubble was, this was never going to end. It was going to be unicorns. Everybody's going to have this wonderful lifetime, and our prices of our property are going to go higher and higher and higher. And then it didn't work out that way. And now we are sitting here with a $29 million piece of property, or a white elephant we're having to pay for. What would you suggest, Scott? You're a businessman. You're into the septic business out there. What would you suggest if you could wave a magic wand? Do you have any ideas what we could do with that sewer treatment plant out there that's being underutilized?
No, that's way over my head as far as what they do with those things. But I do know that we have a need for septic. A place to dump, and surrounding counties as well. So you're not just talking about Bay County, you're talking about other counties that could come to this location that's north of here that has to go to Port St. Joe, Pensacola, or schedule with Waste Management in Campbellton. Yeah, so that's definitely a start.
That's the only places to go to legally dump it. There's only 3 places, and Campbellton by appointment, Pensacola, which is too far away. Campbellton's closer than Pensacola, isn't it? Or is it about
yeah, Campbellton is not too far. That's up 231. In the vicinity of Interstate 10. Okay,
so we got that one, but not very far away. We could put this one in, repurpose that. But a lot of people say, well, we don't want to do that because then it's going to take down. We're going to have a septic tank, up there, where people are going to be doing sludge, and we don't want it in our backyard. And what if St. Joe starts to rebuild their sector plan and kick it back off again? And I'm going, well, we bought this for St. Joe, and now St. Joe backed out of it, and now we're stuck with it. And the citizens of Bay County got to pay for it. That's true.
For plumbing. So we have to teach them, on-the-job training. So what we look for is somebody with good home training, good people skills that enjoy working with folks, and somebody that has mechanical ability that knows, kind of how to hold a hammer, how to hold a wrench, how to hold a pair of pliers, that has that desire. And, of course, this time of the year, and in the wintertime and in the rainy weather, you kind of got to be a little thick-skinned to not really that bother you, not let the heat bother you, not let the rain bother you, to enjoy working outside, I guess I should say.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that, talking about technical training. I was talking to Mr. McAllister the other day and saying, hey, we need to get a technical education back in Bay County and start teaching high school students how to, when they leave high school, how to, pay their way through life, have a job, have a skill. And we need to go up north of these up to the Great White North during the middle of wintertime and said, hey, aren't y'all tired of being in snow 5 months a year? Why don't y'all move down here? We got lots of commercial property that's available to lease. We got weather. You can work 12 months a year outside, except if it rains. But pretty much we got a lot better climate than what you have up here in whether it's North Dakota or Pennsylvania or any place in the snow belt. And they ought to move here, and we ought to get our technical school to train students to work in those industries to encourage them to move down here. I know you would support something like that, would you not?
Oh, absolutely. Think about all of the things are being outsourced, and they talk about robots taking over something as simple as working at McDonald's. But the things that they cannot take over is they cannot take over what a plumber does when he goes inside of a house, or what a mechanic does, or an electrician. That cannot be taken over by a robot. It has to be. Those trades are going to be in such high demand. They're going to be the highest paid trades in the future of any profession.
Absolutely.
It's going to be equal to or greater than a doctor or a lawyer.
Right now, that we're seeing that in my industry, where people that have been in my industry make as much as people that have got 4 or 5 years of college plus maybe a master's degree. And they say, well, how can that be? These people have an education. Well, they got $100,000 worth of student debt out of school, and the person that's in this field right now, he's making $150,000, between $100,000 to $150,000 a year. That's not bad money for being out of a trade school for 2 to 4 years. After about 4 years, you can be making anywhere between in Bay County between $100,000 to $150,000 in the automotive industry if you're top in your field. If you're just a price changer, no, that ain't going to happen. But if you're at top of your
Right.
field, man, the sky's the limit, because you work on how well you do. How much you
That's
can
right.
get out. So I guess that's production. Is that the way y'all work as well in production?
It's very, very similar. I can almost mimic that conversation for the plumbing side. and what it's simple math. Think about this from a trade side. You can actually go to work every day, and within 18 to 24 months, in my profession, I can have you, if you're ambitious and you're really smart, you can be at almost the top of your game in 18 to 24 months with
Yes.
no student debt, getting paid along the way, and you can have a wonderful lifestyle off of this industry.
No argument about it. Learning the trade, getting paid at the same time. I know in mine, my techs make around $35,000 a year when they're learning the trade, but after they've been in it a couple of years, those 50,000, 60,000, and then by the time they get it 4 and 5 years, they're pushing the 75 to 100,000 very, very
That's
easily,
right.
because they've mastered the trade. And that's what it is, because you're looking for master plumbers. You're wanting to train apprentice plumbers to become journeyman plumbers and to become master plumbers. I guess that's right.
That's exactly right. And I actually have a program that I'll pay for them to get their master's license after
Wow.
they've been with me for a period of time. I have one plumber now that's in the process of taking his test and getting his master license.
Wow, that's impressive. Now, how many people have you actually have gone through this course with you? More than one, more than 5?
Less than 5. It's not a whole lot. A lot of them are happy with just going to work every day, but a few of them say, hey, you know what, I want to have my license. I want to have something that says, Florida's the right-to-work state, so you only have to have one master plumber for the company. The others that are working for you just have to work under you and be employed with a company, and they're under my license, basically. But I've had a few that come along and say, hey, you know what, I want to feel proud of myself and have that license, and maybe one day I want to go off and go into business for myself. So we'll help them get to that point.
And that's exactly what had to happen in my industry. I became a master technician. And next thing you know, I have my own business, and that's exactly what goes on. And that's the American way. I'm living the American dream. Both of us are living the American dream. We really are. I mean, it's hard work, but you and I work for a living. I mean, we get our hands dirty. I mean, it's not exactly, it's not glamorous what we do for a living, but we serve a need, and people need what we do. If think about it, when was the last time you needed a plumber and didn't have one? You should.
Right. Yeah.
Boy, you go, man, I could use a plumber right now.
That's right. Or a mechanic and didn't have one.
No, I tell you what, that's the first. It's so true. I remember when I was a kid and my go-kart, I couldn't keep the wheels on my go-kart. I wish I had a mechanic back then, and I think that's why I became one, because I had to figure that out. Hey, Scott, thank you so much for being on here. We appreciate that. If people want to know more about you and want to make an appointment for your services, they can call 763-2001.
That's correct.
All right, and that's Scott Hobbs at Mr. Reuter Plumbing, 763-2001, and tell him the Master Auto Technician sent you there. Scott, I'll talk to you next Monday. Bye-bye, everybody.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guarantee.